Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're actually going to decode the secret language of silicon. If you've ever wondered how just normal physical materials like sand and metal are magically transformed into the brains of our modern devices, you're in the right place. We're going to see how microscopic transistors power literally our entire digital world. Now, before we get completely lost in abstract math and logic, let's ground ourselves in reality for a second. Think about a raw silicon wafer. It's so easy to picture computer engineering as just lines of code floating in the cloud, right? But down at the very foundational level, we're literally dictating the exact physical arrangement of microscopic components on a piece of silicon just like this.
Here's our roadmap for today. We're going from the micro to the macro, starting with the language of silicon, translating number systems, looking at how processors calculate, the rules of Boolean logic, and finally, building the digital future. Let's get right into it.
All right. Section 1, the language of silicon. Let's find out why computers rely entirely on simple ones and zeros.
So, binary is the absolute foundation of digital logic. But, and this is super important to remember, a 1 or a 0 isn't just some abstract math concept. It's a literal physical voltage hitting a transistor. A logic 1, that's a high voltage. Logic 0, low voltage, basically ground. Why do we do this? Well, microscopic transistors act as tiny little switches that are either on or off. Having this massive gap between high and low voltage thresholds gives our hardware incredible immunity to electrical noise. It's brilliant.
Now, depending on who or what is reading the data, we bounce between 4 main number systems. For us humans, it's our familiar decimal system, base 10. For the hardware natively, it's binary, base 2. But honestly, reading endless strings of ones and zeros will drive an engineer absolutely crazy. So we bring in octal, base 8, used historically in Unix systems, and hexadecimal, base 16. Hex uses 0 through 9, plus the letters A through F. And let me tell you, it is the absolute gold standard for reading memory maps without getting totally lost.
Just to really wrap your head around how insanely powerful binary gets, think about scaling it up to 64-bit architectures, like the high-end processors we use today. That unlocks a massive 1.84 times 10 to the 19th power unique states per register, over 18.5 quintillion combinations. To put that into perspective, if every single combination was just a tiny grain of sand, you could literally cover the entire state of Texas. And all of that is generated just by toggling physical high and low voltages.
Moving right along, Section 2, translating number systems. As engineers, we have to bridge the gap between our decimal world and the machine's binary world.
To turn our everyday base 10 into machine-friendly base 2, we use a nifty communication tool called repeated division. It's a super straightforward algorithm, actually. First, take your decimal number and just divide it by 2. Next, you record the remainder, which is always going to be either a 0 or a 1, and boom, that's your first bit. You just keep dividing the resulting quotient by 2 until you hit 0. The trick at the end is to read those remainders from the bottom up, going from the least significant bit all the way up to the most significant bit.
Okay, so we have our binary, but how do we actually read it without losing our minds? We group it. Think of hexadecimal as a highly compressed version of binary. It chunks binary bits into sets of exactly 4, starting from the least significant bit. Since 4 bits give you exactly 16 values, it maps flawlessly to a single base 16 hex character. Octal works the exact same way, just in groups of exactly 3 bits. This kind of compression makes reading, writing, and debugging long strings of machine code infinitely easier.
All right, Section 3, how processors calculate. With our translations done, let's peek inside the processor's arithmetic logic unit, the ALU, and see how the brain actually does the math. Inside the chip, processors are crunching binary arithmetic billions of times a second. And for the most part, it makes total intuitive sense. 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 times 0 is 0. Simple, right? But look at what happens when you add 1 and 1. In our decimal world, that's 2, but the digit 2 doesn't even exist in binary. So adding 1 and 1 gives you a 0, and you just carry over a 1 to the next column, making it 1, 0. It's just regular traditional math squeezed into a 2-digit universe.
Now here's a massive physical limitation that hardware engineers constantly wrestle with. In software, a variable feels like it can go on forever. But the actual physical register inside the chip holding that variable, it has a hard limit. So what exactly happens when the processor runs out of room?
That brings us to a little nightmare called overflow. Let's say you've got a strict 4-bit system.
The absolute biggest number it can hold is 15. If you try to add 1 to 15, mathematically, the answer is 16. But writing 16 in binary requires 5 bits. Because your physical register only has 4 slots, that highest bit just falls right off the edge. Suddenly, the processor thinks 15 plus 1 equals 0. This exact issue is why classic arcade games like Pac-Man famously glitch out at level 256. Recognizing overflow is absolutely crucial if you want to prevent catastrophic software crashes. Which leads us perfectly into Section 4, the rules of Boolean logic. Let's elevate from basic math to the mathematical framework that governs all these calculations.
Boolean logic is how we take those high and low voltage states and actually, well, make decisions with them. We do this using fundamental logic gates. The AND gate is super strict. It only outputs a 1 if every single one of its inputs is a 1. The OR gate is a bit more relaxed. It outputs a 1 if any of its inputs are 1. And the NOT gate just inverts the signal, turning a 1 to a 0 and a 0 to a 1. These incredibly simple logical operations are literally the fundamental building blocks of all complex digital functions inside a chip.
When you map these gates out algebraically, there's actually this beautiful symmetry between the AND laws and the OR laws. Notice that if you AND any variable with 0, you'll always get 0, right? Because the AND gate requires everything to be true. Conversely, if you OR any variable with a 1, you always get a 1, because the OR gate just needs a single true input to trigger. Getting the hang of these laws lets engineers take massive convoluted circuits and strip them down to their most perfectly efficient forms.
And finally, Section 5, Building the Digital Future. Let's explore how these micro-level foundations scale all the way up into macro-level tech. Everything we've covered today, it is the absolute bedrock of modern engineering. These principles dictate the architecture of microprocessors, executing billions of instructions every single second. They define our memory systems, from your computer's RAM right down to reliable flash storage. They allow us to build hardware specifically optimized to stream high-def audio and video. And the whole thing runs on highly efficient CMOS logic gates, which gives us this massive computing power with super low energy consumption.
By mastering all these concepts, engineers can precisely arrange physical complementary MOS transistors on a silicon chip to run flawless, lightning-fast logic. A really cool example of this is the universal NAND gate. What makes a NAND gate so incredible, so universal, is that you can theoretically build any Boolean function in existence, no matter how ridiculously complex it is, using nothing but NAND gates hooked together. It is practically the ultimate digital building block. As we wrap up this explainer, take a second to just think about the infinite possibilities of this secret language. We start with something as simple as a physical voltage, high or low. We map it to binary math, we filter it through Boolean logic, and we end up with the processing power to drive artificial intelligence, global communications, and even space exploration. So I'll leave you with this thought. If a single NAND gate can be configured to build any digital function you can imagine, what on earth are you going to build when you have billions of them right at your fingertips? Thanks for hanging out and exploring the foundation of digital electronics with me.